I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a series review. If you're a longtime fan of the Doctor Who franchise, it's possible that in 2021, upon hearing about the return of former showrunner Russel T Davies to the franchise and former star David Tennant for 3 60th anniversary specials, some of you may have been hopeful. After all, during the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall era of the show, the franchise sunk to an all-time low. So these developments could have been the perfect opportunity to try and fix the show, which was already on the verge of cancellation. Now, in my opinion, in order to accomplish this type of course correction, returning showrunner Russel T Davies just needed to do 3 things. Number 1, focus on story. Go back to story-driven escapism rather than the aggressive messaging and propaganda that we'd grown accustomed to during the Chibs and Jodie era. Number 2, minimize the 13th Doctor. Downplay the significance or even ignore the existence of Jodie's Doctor moving forward. That certainly would have been a step in the right direction, because the less viewers think about that unpopular era, the better. Number 3, canonical repair. Retcon the events of the Timeless Children and Flux out of existence and restore the Doctor's origin story back to his original roots as a Time Lord from Gallifrey. And honestly, I don't even think that these reversals would have been all that difficult to do. The only question was, would showrunner Russel T Davies be willing to do them? Unfortunately, last week with the premiere of The Star Beast, the first of the 3 specials, starring David Tennant and Catherine Tate, it became clear that not only was Russel T Davies not willing to fix any of the franchise's issues, he was actually very much intent on doubling down on them. The Star Beast, for those who missed it, sacrificed its story to ultimately teach the Doctor that as a quote-unquote male-presenting Doctor, he was less competent than Jodie's Doctor, women in general, and people who are more than meets the eye. And for those who are hoping that the show would improve during its second special, Wild Blue Yonder, well, I got news for you. In this video, I will go over the plot of the second special, what I didn't like about the episode, what I did like about the episode, followed by my official score. Wild Blue Yonder continues the events of the Star Beast, where Donna spilled coffee on the TARDIS controls, causing it to take off into the unknown. At first, the Doctor and Donna arrive in 1666 England, where they meet Sir Isaac Newton, who is now South Asian, for some reason. Now, just to be clear, having a South Asian actor on the show is a non-issue for me, but I think that this trend of diverse casting for historical figures that weren't originally diverse is both silly and annoying, especially within a time travel show which needs at least some level of historical accuracy, or else it's not very convincing. But even in regular period piece dramas, I think that this is a bad idea. In the same way that I didn't believe that Jodie Turner-Smith was Anne Boleyn, I also don't believe that this guy is Sir Isaac Newton, even though the actor himself is likable enough. And like clockwork, I've already seen articles popping up claiming that if you don't think that Sir Isaac Newton looked this way, then you're an istanophobe. But I wholeheartedly disagree. Wanting to see more historically accurate casting doesn't make you a bad person. It's really just an opinion, and a pretty reasonable one at that. Also, it's strange how these recent historical diversity swaps only seem to happen in one direction. For example, when the character of Martin Luther King appeared on this very show just a few seasons ago, I don't recall him being white or South Asian. And can you imagine what people would be saying if he was? Yeah, exactly. Anyhow, when the Doctor and Donna realize they're in 1666, they decide to get back into the TARDIS and take off again. This time they arrive on a seemingly deserted spaceship of sorts, but with so much damage done to the TARDIS, the Doctor has no choice but to rebuild it using his sonic screwdriver, proving that the sonic screwdriver is simply capable of anything these days. Again. In the meantime, while the sonic screwdriver is rebuilding, the Doctor and Donna start walking around the spaceship. At this point, Donna tells the Doctor that she thinks Sir Isaac Newton is hot, and the Doctor very enthusiastically agrees with her. So enthusiastically that it leads him to question who he is now, to which Donna responds that she's always thought that the Doctor was, and then her sentence gets cut off, so we never hear the end of it. Now, it's pretty clear to anybody watching that this interaction was implying that Donna had always suspected that the Doctor was, fond of dudes? And if this dialogue had appeared on the show 15 years ago, I probably would have considered it some type of playful banter, but these days, it seems like these type of interactions don't just randomly appear in the script. And with this show now being co-financed by Disney and the BBC, one has to wonder why this was exactly brought up. My guess is that it could have had something to do with the preferences of the next Doctor, who will be portrayed by actor Ncuti Gatwa. Now, since I know many people get offended these days, I want to clarify my position here. I don't care what an actor or character's preferences are if it actually has a real purpose within the story. For example, the character of Captain Jack on this very show had his own preferences, but most Doctor Who fans liked the character because it was well written and well cast. As for the Doctor, to be honest, I've never thought that making him attracted to humans was ever a good idea to begin with. I didn't like it when he developed feelings for Rose back in the day, and I certainly don't need him to discover more of his preferences now. Anyhow, throughout this episode, the Doctor and Donna encounter two evil beings of sorts that clone themselves to look like Donna and the Doctor, with the ultimate intent of escaping the ship once the TARDIS returns. At one point in the episode, the Doctor acknowledges the events of the Timeless Children and Flux, which means that showrunner Russel T Davies is seemingly doubling down on these events as canon. As far as plot goes, after the clones keep trying to outsmart the Doctor and Donna, it turns out that the ship's original captain terminated herself in order to make sure these evil beings never leave the ship, as they were apparently trying to clone her as well, and she knew they were a real danger to the universe. Of course, when they find the captain's body, Donna, much like in the last episode with Ameep, speculates if the captain's pronouns were she, he, or them. So yes, if you like that type of 2023 trendy pronoun stuff, this episode has that too. Anyways, by the end of the episode, the TARDIS returns, the Doctor and Donna leave, and the spaceship self-destructs with the evil clones inside of it. The Doctor and Donna then arrive back in London, where they meet Donna's grandfather, Wilf, but there seems to be complete chaos in the streets there, and Wilf tells him that the world is going to end, and then the episode ends on a cliffhanger. Let's start with what I didn't like about this episode. As I had mentioned in my review of The Star Beast, there is something especially frustrating watching these 60th anniversary specials. At times, during isolated moments, they do have a Doctor Who feel to them, but just as you start to get invested in the story, you either encounter unnecessary propaganda or canonical issues that desperately need to be fixed. Another issue that I have is that these episodes don't really feel like a 60th anniversary celebration. Compare Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder to Day of the Doctor from the 50th anniversary 10 years ago, and they are nowhere in the same league. Both 60th anniversary specials till now feel more like filler mid-season episodes, with Wild Blue Yonder being a classic bottleneck episode, meaning they're just stuck somewhere for 40 minutes. And while these episodes are certainly better than anything Chris Chibnall has put out as showrunner, they are far less than what Russel T Davies is capable of. Also, this episode felt very green screen CGI-ish, and I could have used a bit less of that. I know that some of the older Doctor Who episodes aren't exactly visual marvels, but still, with the type of funding this show has and the technology it has available in 2023, you'd think that they could make this show look a bit better now. As a minor comment, I also sometimes feel like they make Donna a bit too mean-spirited toward the Doctor in these specials, in a way that doesn't always ring true with the character that I remember. Now, I could be wrong on this, you guys can let me know in the comments, but this was just something I felt while watching this. Since I try to review things as fairly as possible, there are some things that I did like about the episode. For starters, even more so than last time, both David Tennant and Catherine Tate really flex their acting muscles here, and their performances are impeccable. And it was certainly nice to see the late Bernard Cribbins reprise his role as Wilf here, however briefly. Also, while the episode's story isn't anything extraordinary, it isn't terrible either. The general idea of this ship and these clones is serviceable enough, but with the issues that I've mentioned, the show ultimately still manages to annoy me more than it entertains me. And after seeing two specials, it's pretty clear that Russel T Davies doesn't seem to care about any fan concerns. He's using this second tenure to cleverly incorporate his favorite ideologies into the show, even at the expense of the storytelling itself. In addition, Davies seems to be happily embracing all of the issues that led to this show's decline in popularity, which I also consider a mistake. And to me, the biggest shame is that with only one David Tennant special left before he's replaced by Ncuti Gatwa, it seems like this final chance to save this once-beloved show has been squandered. I am curious to see how they'll execute the regeneration of Tennant's Doctor into Gatwa's Doctor next episode, but after that, I think this show will likely have to find a new audience, because if the goal of these specials was to win back longtime fans, I don't think that this was the right way to go about it. If I had to give this episode a score, I guess I would give it a 50 out of 100, which means that it's a fail. Perhaps if it didn't peddle agendas while embracing Chris Chibnall's destruction of lore, I could have given it a passing grade, but since these are very big issues, I have to factor them into my score because the episode really suffers as a result. What did you think about Wild Blue Yonder? Did you love it? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.